In this video, I'm going to be covering some of the Hearthfire DLC as well as the Dawnguard DLC. So Hearthfire essentially is, I don't really even count as a DLC, to be honest, because all you're really doing is just building 3 houses, and you get the ability to build these houses based, the same way that you were able to purchase houses, which is becoming a thing for one of the Jarls of the holds. So there's certain holds where they can't offer you a house, but they can offer you land, and you buy the land, and then they show you where it is roughly. So then you travel to it. They have the drafting table here. So the drafting table, usually they are in the menu, would just say like a small house, with the schematics. It'll build that piece there. Then you go to the carpenter's workbench, and then like as you're building it, it'll say, okay, house walls and framing, okay, stairs, walls, roof, arches, so on and so forth as you're building it. There's also a little beginner's guide to homesteading there. In the chest here, they'll have clay and some other materials you may need. You also have the anvil here too, if you want to craft armor or materials you might need. You can craft building materials here, hinges, iron fittings, locks, nails. I didn't really get like too heavy into it, just because it almost felt kind of pointless, just because I already had 5 houses, so it's kind of like, why do I need another 3? The only other thing I could really mention that about the houses, if you're that interested in making them, is you could either have the logs when you go back to the Jarl that dispensed it to you. You could have them send it to your house, or you can just make the logs yourself by chopping wood, as you can chop wood in this game. So there's one of them. See, how do you say it? Helgerton Hall. Then, let's see, where's the other one? Lakeview Manor, that's another one, and then I know there was another one, but I just don't remember where it is. Maybe it was that one. So that's basically all there really is to say about it. There's 3 of them, and that's what they're for. So, now the more interesting thing, Dawnguard. So Dawnguard is a DLC that has to do with vampires and vampire hunters. So in the DLC, let's go ahead and go to the castle right here. So in the DLC, you go about, you go to the Dawnguard, you talk to them about, slaying vampires, killing vampires, and then when you go over there, this is the vampire's place, just in case you're wondering. Oh yeah, that is also a creepy enemy they have, the gargoyles. Sometimes they like animate them and they pop out and like bear rush you. It's weird. They have like death hounds that look like, like ghoulish dogs. Trolls are also a not so nice enemy in this game that came back from Oblivion. But so you go there, you go to the Dawnguard place, you agree to help them wipe out some vampires, and then you come upon a girl named Serena. You learn that Serena is not only a vampire, she is the Vampire King's daughter. So then she's like, well, can you bring me back to my place? So it's like, okay, bring me back to your place. This is her place. As you can see, there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of victims and stuff. So she told me to bring her back. The dad sees me, he thanks me and all that stuff, and then the dad states, well, now that you know what we are, I'm gonna give you a chance. The only gift I could give you a chance to be a vampire, or I'll let you go, but next time I see you, you're an enemy. I later found out that there's other opportunities to become a vampire, but they at least did try to make you choose at that point in time. At the time, I was part werewolf, so you know, it's not like it makes it harder for him to give you, you know, the gift of being a vampire, but it does kind of
look at you, mortal.
It does kind of
I suggest you have
it is kind of brought up, you know, when he is talking about turning into a vampire. So you go about doing missions for him. He shows you how to be a vampire. He shows you that you can do melee combat as a vampire. You can you could turn the undead as your servants once they're dead as a vampire. You can drain people's health. You can turn into bats. A bunch of different abilities. Basically, being a vampire is like playing the easy mode of Dawnguard. I'm gonna be honest with you, because more times than not, you're not gonna run against super hard opposition because you are a vampire.
Mortal, what are you doing here like that? No, you must get away. If I'm seen talking to you, they'll blame me.
Quite bold to return here as a mortal. Some will take offense.
I guess they're already talking shit about me because I decided to turn back into a werewolf. But
bad for your health.
had you stayed as a vampire, they will welcome you with open arms. They, you know, have some people that will sell you stuff here. Most of them will give you missions. Some of them are radiant quests. You already know how I feel about radiant quests. I don't like radiant quests. But some of them are radiant quests. Not important. So some of them are radiant quests. Some of them require you. Well, most of them require you to just go storm Dawnguard places, just to strike fear into them. But there was an interesting mission that had to do with a certain type of skooma that I thought was cool that I did early on, which was you go to the place where they're selling skooma, supposedly, quote unquote, and then, you know, you kind of talk to them and everything, and then you kind of get the feeling that they put something in the skooma. And skooma is alcohol, just in case you're wondering. So they put something in the skooma to make people, you know, act strange and act weird. So then you kind of find out as you're going deeper in, as you kind of sneak past, that they've actually been putting a certain kind of blood in the skooma, which has been making people, you know, act weird and woozy and, you know, other strange things about it. So should keep that. But so that was like a interesting twist little quest. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of variety and, you know, in different quests like that as I would have liked, but there's still, you know, a fair, you know, reasonable amount to play. You won't find a whole lot of equipment, especially if you did a good job of leveling in the main game. You won't find a whole lot of new equipment items or anything like that, but you will find, you know, coffins to sleep in, you know, when you're in the castle. The castle stays the same, but you will find coffins to sleep in. You can feed on certain human subjects, you know, to keep your powers intact. The sun is a what's it called? The sun is a factor, you know, with being a vampire, as you'd expect it to be, but it's not as bad as it used to be in Oblivion. In Oblivion, if it was sunny out and you stepped foot, it like evaporated your health. It was really bad. There was really no point in being one in Oblivion. But in this one, it just makes your stamina go down a lot faster and not recover. So that can be a little shitty sometimes, which is probably one of the reasons that I ended up electing to turn back into a werewolf, so that doesn't happen. And I could turn into a werewolf whenever I want, and you could also turn into a vampire whenever you want. one of the more interesting things that do happen in this though
Mortal.
is
I suggest you have Serana change you back.
you get to take Serana and go into this place called the Soul Cairn. And the Soul Cairn, you know, with let's describe it this way. So there's something in this game called soul gems. So soul gems have people's souls in them, and has monster souls in them, just souls in general. Soul Cairn is basically where all those souls go. So you go to the Soul Cairn, and then it's like a really dark, gloomy place. It's a dark, gloomy place that requires you to, you know, go through these like purple lights, and you know, fight all these like ghosts and shades, and at the end you actually fight, you know, this big decrepit looking dragon. He wasn't hard, but you know, it was still interesting to fight him. I had to fight, you know, I had to fight, what's the word I'm looking for? I had to fight some guardians, you know, before I got there. I should be able to go take a look at it, actually. I think I could still go back, if I'm not mistaken, so I could show you guys a little bit of it. But yeah, so you basically go there. Yeah, you can go back. So you basically go there because you're trying to... Oh, that's right. That's right. It won't let me go in there because I'm not a vampire anymore. I forgot about that. But basically, we were going there to find her mother because her mother had one of the Elder Scrolls. And what Harkon, you know, the Serana's dad is trying to do is he's trying to take the Elder Scrolls, and he's trying to take something called Uriel's bow. And what he does is when he uses the Elder Scrolls to find where Uriel's bow is and has the bow blessed and everything like that, then he has to take Serana's blood from the bow and shoot it into the sun, and it will cause the sun to black out. And when this happens, the vampires will be able to enjoy eternal night, supposedly. How did I get out here? That was weird. They'll be able to enjoy eternal night. So the reason that's stupid, of course, is because, you know, the other vampires acknowledge, well, I mean, then they'll know it is us that caused that. There's no one else that would want to directly cause that to happen. So they didn't want, you know, they didn't want the attention. They didn't want the attention on themselves, despite, you know, him being the king and all. But, you know, they had to go along with what he was saying. You could actually still use the bow and everything even after you kill him. You could use it to shoot at the sun. So you won't really have to worry about the sun affecting you as much, as long as you have those blood-tipped arrows provided by Serana. You would just take, you know, elven arrows, and you would have her put her blood on it, and you'd be able to use it. So you wouldn't really have to worry about that status effect any longer. You end up finding a lot more Elder Scrolls in this game than I've ever seen between 4 and 5. In 4 you find 1, and that was amazing of itself, but in 5 you find like 3, so it's a lot. So this is the Dawnguard place. Damn it, Spider-Man, move. And of course they don't like me too much because I used to be a vampire, and they don't forget that, even though I'm no longer a vampire. So if I was really, you know, full-blown Dawnguard, you know, and everything, then I would have been here helping the Dawnguard. They give you separate quests. Yes, there's some quests that still align, you know, with the main story, you know, with fighting Harkon and everything. But, you know, there are a lot of other quests. Oh yeah, this is what it looked like, more or less. There would have been, and they used a lot of crossbows. would have been a lot of other quests that required me to, you know, kill more vampires and, you know, work closer with them. So it's a fun DLC to play. It doesn't have a whole lot to do once you do all the side quests and stuff, because then it's kind of just straightforward. I believe there was like maybe 15 or so side quests, and then the main story was probably like 9 quests. But yeah, all in all, it's a fun DLC to play. Hearthfire you don't really have to deal with, but the Dawnguard DLC is fun to play. Although I only played the vampire version, I do recommend trying, you know, both versions if you can. But if you only try one version, I would try Dawnguard, because Dawnguard seemed like it had more to gain out of it rather than just being, you know, a powerful vampire. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video when I talk about the last DLC, which is Dragonborn.